let it go.
I've experienced that, guys.
And it's something that that I like that you said. Take responsibility. Hey, good morning, guys. How are we doing today?
Hi, guys. This is Jenny.
And this is Greg. We are welcoming you to our another episode of God, Finances, and Intimacy. And thank you guys for watching. It's just a beginning journey of how we're getting a few comments from people, and really our show is really just to talk about real events.
Just having conversation.
Yeah, it's just a
And
conversation.
we can learn from each other. You guys can comment below.
Yep. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to continue to do that when we're starting to get some good traffic on here. But I want to tell you, the purpose of our show is to talk about real things. We're going to go through, and then Jenny's going to tell you what we're talking about, and she's just going to take off. But the reason for our show is, we're going to talk about some things pertaining to relationships, which are going to go into Christianity. We're going to talk about being an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about fathers and mothers. We're really going to go into many different details of our show. And really, all of it's going to be how to improve your life and how to let things go, and changing your mindset. But Jenny, what are we going to talk about today?
Forgiveness, or forgiving others. First of all, you have to forgive yourself. That's the topic we need to discuss.
So forgiveness. So we're going to talk about. So what's the biggest challenge when you hear, about forgiveness? What's the biggest challenge? Is it hard to forgive? Well, I mean, if you break it down, there's really three areas: forgiving yourself. There's forgiving others, and then there's understanding how forgiveness can really damage, or
if you let
it can damage your life, your health, or it can improve your life tremendously. So by not forgiving, there's some real health issues that happen in your body, as well as other things. But forgiveness in itself, there's some other great things that can happen.
You can free up yourself.
So Jenny, you had some things you wanted to talk about with some, as far as forgiving.
Well, forgiving others is not easy though.
Why is
it's some other people it's difficult, but it's a process. So if you ask forgiveness to the person that you hurt, don't expect to forgive you right away, because it's not easy. It's a process, so you have to have patience.
Well, you've been doing a lot of research and time on finding out and how to forgive yourself. So what are the things that I'd like you to share that with us, because
I've got some tips that I've researched yesterday. I picked some tips on how to forgive yourself after hurting someone.
Okay.
Number one is learn from your mistake. And then number two, turn guilt into gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude.
And then number three, take responsibility for your actions.
Wow, that's a big one.
And then ask the person you hurt for forgiveness. Do what you can to repair that damage. Then take care of yourself mentally and physically. Important, yes.
So why is it important that you forgive yourself? How do you forgive yourself?
Because if you can't forgive yourself, you can't love with this is what I mean. You can't love without forgiveness in your heart. So you have to forgive. We must forgive others. It will benefit you the most, more than the person that you hurt.
Okay.
Yes.
That's true. But
because you want to have a peaceful life. You wanna feel free, not like feeling like a prisoner yourself. Yeah.
So you kind of locked up. So what are some of the things that you've learned that you've done, or from some of the clients that we've worked with, or ladies that you worked with over the years, whether it be in, as a CNA, you worked with people there, whether it be as a mother, active member in the church, different things. What have you done to forgive yourself? How do you forgive yourself? What are you doing?
Well, first of all, I must learn to forgive myself. Okay. That's the first thing you have to do. Fully forgive yourself. And if you ask forgiveness for that person and he said no, So what you have to do is allow them the time to process. And then after that, make a plan to come back to them at some times, but keep moving with your life and keep healing while waiting.
So now you brought up something that that's really interesting, because when I've done things wrong to people, I have, how many people have all done things wrong and it's really hurt somebody's feelings, and you feel so bad, but you don't want to forgive yourself. But then you work up the courage, and if you believe in the Bible and if you believe in God, either way, it doesn't matter, how you recognize that or don't. Some people recognize it as Mother Earth, asking the universe for guidance or forgiveness, or reading the Bible and asking God for forgiveness. However you recognize that, I learned that I needed to first
Forgive yourself.
to forgive myself
in order for you to forgive others. Yes,
it is, and
because it's impossible to forgive others if you yourself don't feel good about yourself. You feel guilty, bitterness, and all of those things.
Yeah,
it's not healthy for you.
Well, for me, the holdup was, and I've noticed with the folks we've worked with over the years, and even when I was doing some counseling with married couples and teens and folks in church, they had the idea that if I went ahead and I hit Billy in the face, I punched Billy right in the face, and whether Billy deserved it or not, I had the idea that I needed to go to God and ask forgiveness that I punched Billy. And really, that's not where I need to go to forgiveness. I didn't punch God in the face. Here's the catch on that. I need to go to Billy and say, Billy, will you forgive me for punching you in the face? Now, it doesn't matter if Billy forgives me or not.
Yes.
Because now what happens
is you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
For you to feel free.
It does. Now, if you want to bring Mother Earth or the universe or God into that, now when I apologize to Billy for punching him in the face, God goes, you know what? I see that you're asking for forgiveness. So now I'll forgive you. Now I'll forgive you. But Greg, don't come to me to ask for forgiveness when you punched Billy in the face.
Go to that person.
Go to that person.
Ask for apology.
Right.
Then God will automatically forgive you.
He automatically
It doesn't matter if that person doesn't forgive you. It takes time. I know it's not easy. But God is forgiving you already once you do that step.
Well, and when I did that, because there was a time in my life, Jenny, and I think
it's not easy to forgive someone who hurts you, but in order for you to have a peaceful life, you must forgive. You must forgive yourself first.
You can. Yep. Well, and it's interesting. There was a time in my life where, I would go to God first. I'm like, I punched Billy in the face, but I am not. My ego and my pride got in the way. I am not going to go to Billy and apologize to him no matter what. But I need forgiveness because that's what I'm told. So I'm going to go to God and ask for forgiveness.
No,
and I never felt forgiven because God, God essentially is just, he's observing us.
Yeah.
He's really observing us going, listen.
Remember, God is an observer.
He is. He's an observer.
We are the creator, co-creating God with God.
Well, wow, that's true. So, that's another understanding of forgiveness, of how we have to get forgiveness. And it is important that, all these people that you do wrong, it's, again, however you recognize that is fine. But if I recognize my forgiveness to go to God, and Jenny and I got in an argument, and I really hurt her feelings. Well, we've had some arguments before. Do you guys believe that? She's perfect.
We were adjusting at the time.
Are you perfect? You're perfect in my
God's eyes. But perfect.
Are we?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
You're perfect to me.
But so we learned right away, and I've learned with my clients to let them know to forgive yourself
first.
You really need to ask for forgiveness from that other person, because you're carrying a weight. And if you can picture yourself, in the old days on the stick in the bag with Huckleberry Finn, and he's moving around and he's going from place to place, and he's got that stick with his clothes on the end, that baggage gets heavier and heavier anytime you're not asking for forgiveness. But when you ask for forgiveness, you can let that baggage go. And then when you feel that you've done that, you've practiced humility, you've got rid of your ego,
you'll be able to love
you'll be able to let it go
easily.
You'll be able to let it go.
I've experienced that, guys.
And it's something that that I like that you said. Take responsibility. I've had people tell me that, hey,
for your actions.
They have.
You have to.
Well, and I've had a lot of my clients tell me, and even family members over the years have said, you know what? I know that I did something wrong, and I know that I hurt so-and-so's feelings, but it's not my responsibility to apologize to them. I'm not going to. That's their problem. And relationships. Now we'll talk about what forgiveness, by not forgiving yourself or forgiving others, what does that cause? That causes so many relationship problems by not, forgiving one and forgiving yourself.
Number one, it will affect your mentality, your health.
How does
overall.
It do that? How does not
you
forgiving
become
yourself?
Depressed. You become unhappy. you become dissatisfied with life, and you're gonna have a problem of relationship, because you still have that bitterness inside of you. So let that go. You have to go to that person that you did wrong and ask for forgiveness. That's the step.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
forgiving, it doesn't mean you have to reconcile with that person. No, you don't have to if you don't feel good. But if it's possible, yes. But if that person really hurt you over and over, now you have to move your body from that person, away from that person. You must build how do you call that?
Trust.
Yeah, you have to protect yourself too. You forgive
Right.
that person, but at the same time you have to protect yourself. So stay away from that person. You ask forgiveness already. I mean,
probably the best. But if you choose to send them a text, send them a letter, leave them a
Yes.
voicemail, somehow just
do anything to repair the damage.
yeah, just get that apology out there. And then if it's truly, and they're going to hear it, and then you'll be able to feel that forgiveness, and you'll be forgiven by God instantly. And by doing that, you've told them that you want to start to mend that relationship somehow, because you're asking for their forgiveness. But the big reason why people struggle with forgiving and not forgiving is because of their ego. Their ego sets in, and their pride sets in,
the ego,
and when their mind is going crazy, their heart's not connected. And it's just like I've been told by some folks that I don't care if I did anything wrong to you. I don't care if it hurts you. I'm not apologizing to you. I'm not doing it, but I'll ask God for forgiveness. That's all I need to do. Well, God's sitting back going, what are you apologizing to me for? You didn't hit me in the face. I mean, it's like, I have kids in the house, and, I got some boys that are living here still. And if one of my boys punches the other one in the face, if the one boy that punches the other boy in the face comes to me and says, hey, Dad, I'm sorry I punched, my brother in the face, I'm going to go, what are you apologizing to me for? Did you apologize to him? Well, no, I don't want to do that. That would be,
you have to take responsibility for your actions. Go to that person that you hurt.
So, and
yes,
and
I know it's kind of hard because of your ego. No, I would never go to that person.
Well, does it have to be hard though? Or do we make it hard?
We make it hard. We are hard on ourselves. We're being hard on ourselves.
We make it hard.
But we can make it easier. Just go there. Just go to him. It doesn't matter if he doesn't forgive you, because some people, it's hard. It's hard for them to process because, for example, if the person killed your loved ones, that's gotta be hard.
Well, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about a story in my life, but
that's not easy. So just give them some time to process, and they will turn around.
They will. They
will come around. So just be patient. We need to have patience, but while being patient, you have to do something too, like sending them greetings or cards or offer help.
Give them
whatever
time.
Whatever you can do to
give them time
to repair the damage.
Yep, and
show them that you are sincerely asking for apology.
Sincerely, that's the big thing. And here now, I want to spend a little bit of time on the damages to relationships long term. I know personally, from watching some folks in my life that have chosen that over the years they were hurt. They were hurt. I mean, I know a particular example on one that's this young lady she's chose to stay in anger because she doesn't want to forgive people for over 19 years. It's been close to 19 years that this particular individual has decided to just not forgive things that happened in her life, whether other people did it, whether she did it, and because of that situation, she chose to take herself out of a whole family situation, away from all of her friends. And still to this day, when you visit with that person, there's still that bitterness and anger and those relationships because of the lack of wanting to forgive. Even that person, sometimes those people will go, well, you have to earn my forgiveness.
That's ego.
Well, that's ego. Now, that's ego coming. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. And if I did anything wrong, I don't have to apologize to you. I apologize to God. No. And this particular situation, and all you guys can probably relate to this, that you can damage a lifelong situation and friends. You have to remember, being married to Jenny, she's cultivated many relationships that I didn't know were going to come into my life by being with her. There's friends that I have in my life that if I wouldn't have, we got angry at each other throughout the years. If we wouldn't have forgave each other, there's opportunities, financial opportunities that wouldn't have been cultivated if I would have just been I'm not going to forgive him. I'm not going to forgive Greg. But because we forgave each other, forgot it, and moved on, the scriptures tell us that to look forward, to always look forward. But
we can forgive.
but if this, if the Bible's not something you read, that's okay. But I'm gonna, so you could go to this version. Denzel Ferrari, actually, when he built his car, the first car he built, the Ferrari, didn't have any rear view mirrors on it. People said, why? Because I want to go forward as fast as I can. I don't need to look back. So when you forgive people and you now have accepted that, you don't need to look backwards. You don't need to go, well, hey, Jenny, remember you did that. Then you didn't truly forgive. So by forgiving yourself and others and them forgiving you, you'll mend relationships. And from that, guys, there's so much that can come from mending relationships. There's spiritual growth. There's family growth. There's financial growth and opportunities. If you're struggling,
all the blessings gonna come.
I mean,
all the peacefulness, joy, happiness in your life.
Yeah,
you're gonna
there's
feel
help.
good, just like you just got out from jail.
Yeah. Well, and I was
have experience.
You've been felt like you're in jail. Jenny and I have been, we held a lot of anger throughout the years on not wanting to forgive people, even though we knew it was right. And going to God, I can tell you, I've gone to the, to my source and said, hey, would you forgive me for what I did to these people? And I hear my source just telling me, you know what? I'm not the one you need to ask for forgiveness. I may be God, I may be the universe, I may be Mother Earth, but I'm not the one you did wrong to. If you want my forgiveness, go ask them for forgiveness, and I'll see that you want that. You'll feel that in your soul.
Okay, question. What if the person that you did wrong already died? And you're not able to ask for it.
That's a good point, because
that just came to my head.
That's what she's going to put me on the spot. So now that's a good one. Now remember, again, go to the source. You can do all things through Christ. But if that's not a source for you, now you can truly understand. If God is truly Mother Earth, the universe, however you recognize it, is really just an observer. We can talk about that in another time. God's already created the earth. He created everything here. He created you. You're his best creation. Now he's just an observer. And he's saying, listen, I gave you all this. Now you go. So when you hurt these things, you don't come to me ask for forgiveness from Bob. Now, if Bob is passed on and you did some things to Bob and you really feel bad about that, now you can go to your creator and say, listen, some people feel the okay that maybe they want to go to the cemetery and they want to stand at the cemetery and they want to ask Bob for forgiveness. I've seen that a lot.
God will see your
that heart. Can see something. Sometimes they'll stand in front of the picture and go, you know what, Bill, man, I know you're not here anymore, but I really am sorry for everything I did. I wish you were around. I changed my life.
Because of you.
Because of what's happened.
Because you've learned from what you've done.
Well, that energy you're sending out to the universe is going to allow for that forgiveness.
But sometimes we'll thank that person that they're like, they're thankful that happened because they got to grow after that. They learn from the mistakes. They grow. They realize, wow.
Well, it's interesting. Something you can do with that, and that's a whole nother discussion with quantum theory and moving places in time. But you can sit down. I've done this before. The folks we work with, sit down and have a conversation with Bob and write a letter. Hey, Bill, this is Greg now. Pat, Bill back in the past. Put yourself in the past with Bill. Meditation can help with that. You can meditate. We can talk about how to do that.
Write a journal.
And you can go back in time in your mind and talk with Bill and say, Bill, listen, and see yourself talking to Bill and go, Bill, you know what? I forgive you. Bill, would you please forgive me? And, and picture that in your mind and go, and God's going to see, your source is going to see that you're writing a letter to your, from your present Greg to your past Bill. And Bill's talking to you and you're talking to him and you're seeing that through meditation.
It will help
and it will truly help that forgiveness.
Yes.
And then go to the source and go, listen, I've asked Bill for forgiveness. He's not here. I really want to be forgiven. And now that forgiveness comes. So you're still asking Bill for forgiveness.
Even he's not there.
Even he's not there.
But God knows your heart.
Yep.
He will forgive you right away.
He does.
Hesitation.
Without any hesitation.
If that comes from your heart. Yeah.
And
interesting.
All of that stuff, I can share with you just a quick story. People go, well, Greg, I've had people, I had a guy that killed my friend or killed my brother or killed my mother or killed this, and how could you ever forgive them? Well, I'm going to tell you something. There's a story in my life that I don't know if I've ever really shared with my wife fully. We've talked a little bit about it.
About what?
But well, I'm going to tell you. It came to me today while my son was getting his haircut. They had kind of a download on how, what I could share. How can we teach forgiveness and why it's important and how relationships can be damaged and if we haven't been through it. So, this event was my brother. My brother was my hero. At the time he was a quadriplegic. He was driving. He was a track coach, a basketball coach, going to college, living on his own, as a quadriplegic. And he was driving a handicapped van. Well, this was years ago, back in 2000, 2001. And he had taken his van, wanting to be independent, to a garage in a particular town. And he went to this garage, and in a handicapped van, those may or may not know that the thickness or the tire ply on tires have to be thicker because of the weight of the van with the lift, with the wheelchair lift, with the weight of the chair over the front axle. There's a thicker tire ply that has to be there. So as it goes over bumps, it's thicker than what I have on my truck. So if it pokes it through, it's got more rubber to poke through before it gets to the air part of the tire. Yeah. So what happened was there was a gentleman there. My brother drove in, and he just had one tire changed. It was one of the front tires.
Is it intentional?
No. Well, the gentleman, it was accidental. He didn't pay attention.
Well, it's nice.
He didn't pay attention. Well, from one sense of it, he's the tire guy, so he's got to pay attention. He didn't pay attention. He put the wrong tire. He put the right size tire on, but not the right ply, not the right thickness that would match the weight of that van. And he just didn't pay attention, and he didn't put the right tire on. So what happened was when my brother was driving, he got into some construction. And if you remember where you go down the road and all of a sudden it drops because the pavement's been eaten up or they're changing it. It'll drop down 3 or 4 inches. Well, it dropped, a couple inches. And when he did that, it kind of, when it dropped off and it fell, it instantly, it blew up. The front tire blew. Now, if he would have had the right ply tire on, it wouldn't have popped. It would have bumped and he could have kept driving. But when it fell, it popped and that front driver's side tire blew up instantly. So there's two things that happened. One, now he's trying to control it. He couldn't. He veered right off over and ran head on into a truck. Okay. And both the people in the truck survived and everyone in the van survived but my brother. And now there's two things that I could have been angry at.
Your brother died, right?
Yeah, my brother was killed almost instantaneously on scene. He was at the scene. He passed away.
But at the same time, it was not intentional, but still.
Well, there's two things that happened. There was one, the tire. That was one that wasn't intentional, but he didn't pay attention. So not paying attention, my brother was killed. Secondly, though, the driver that hit my brother, when my brother veered off, told us he openly decided to hit my brother head on because he thought that was the safest hit for everybody to survive. And of course, everybody survived except him, largely because he was in a wheelchair. Okay. But so from that event, there was a little anger from our family of, man, this guy didn't change the tire.
Bitterness.
There was bitterness. Yes. And then, this guy chose to hit my brother head on because that was the safest hit. Why didn't he veer off? Why didn't he let my brother go off into the ditch or all these other things? So I watched my parents get bitter for a little while, back and forth to forgiving. It's not his fault. I'm angry. So it's not that tire guy's fault. It was an accident. He didn't do it on purpose. Okay, it was his fault, but it wasn't done on purpose. So now what do we do? Are we going to be angry? Because I watched people in my life stay bitter for many years.
You have to decide, okay, I am tired of getting mad and angry. Yeah. It's time for me to come to that person and sit down with him. Well, I'm doing it for me, not for him. I'm doing it for me.
I actually
just decide already. If you want to have a happy peacefulness in your life, you must do it. That's the only way.
Well, I went and met that person. My family members, now today, shortly thereafter, they did they put it back away, forgiveness. But for a while, I watched my family members get bitter to the point that they didn't care if they were alive or not either. Like, I'm just, my son was killed. My friend was killed. Man, I'm just here for the ride, so on and so forth. And it made relationships tough to where I didn't even take my kids over to the house anymore because I'm hearing my own family going, I'm just here for the ride. I don't care if I'm alive. They were so bitter. And
that they did not recognize you anymore. Like they're not.
Yeah, they're like, I'm just here for the ride. The grandkids are around and things. So, it damaged the relationship for a period of years, not knowing it wasn't done intentionally.
Yeah, they were not aware of their action at the time because
they weren't.
They were so bitter and they were so sad.
They were.
Your brothers gone.
Well, and
I got that.
And I actually decided because I watched the relationships get damaged. I was, owning a company. My emotions were kind of off, so I was I was not making the money I should have been making because my mindset was
Your
wrong.
mentality got
My
screwed
marriage,
up.
my marriage at home
Emotionally.
wasn't where it should be. The relationship with my kids, I would snap and I'd get paranoid. Don't get in the car, put a seatbelt on. I got so protective that it just affected all of my relationships. So I finally drove to that garage, and I met the gentleman and shook his hand and said, "Listen,
The right thing to do.
I forgive you. This was not done intentionally." And I actually hugged the guy that I blamed for killing my brother. And I walked away, and I felt so much better because now I know today I've kept in touch with him over the years. It's been a couple years now, but he went off and got married. He stayed in the tire industry. He went back to school. He did very well. He works at a very reputable place. He's going to church. He's doing well today. But it could have been to where I just kept throwing at him. You killed my brother. You killed. How horrible. That could have affected his life for the rest of his life.
Yes.
It could have just been, gosh, and I've watched that happen where some of those people go off and they kill themselves. Suicide comes into play.
That happens a lot.
Or a heart attack.
I've heard a lot
because
stories
they're,
about
they're not worthy. So forgiving yourself is important. Only you can do that. Asking forgiveness from the ones you hurt, not God, not the universe, not Mother Earth. If I hurt Jenny, I'm not going to go off into a closet and go, "Hey, I said a bad word to Jenny and made her feel bad. Will you forgive me?" God's going, "Dude, I'm just observing you. You didn't do anything to me. You want my forgiveness? Go ask for hers, and then I'll forgive you for what you did." But go ask, take responsibility. I love what Jenny said.
Take responsibility
for those.
That is very important. Yes, one of the most
important
thing that you have to do. Because forgiveness is the freedom to love others too.
Well, so now let's kind of wrap it up. What does forgiveness do? For our life, for our relationship.
Forgiveness is strong medicine.
Why should we forgive though? Why should we forgive others? Why should we forgive ourselves? And if we do all that,
God forgive us.
It is. That's the biggest thing. But what can grow from that? I mean, talking about forgiveness is not just about, some people on this, can say, "Well, Greg, it's just because God has told us that we have to forgive." Well, you don't have to do anything. God is observing. He said, "These are some things I suggest. These are some commandments. Here's some things I know that works." But it's free agency.
Yeah.
You don't have to forgive anybody.
Because forgiveness is very effective to heal deep wounds.
Right.
So.
Well, and from it, let's touch on this, and then we can kind of move to the end of it. I mean,
some verses.
First of all, Jenny's got some verses that.
Yeah. It's in Matthew 6:14.
Yeah, go ahead and read those.
"For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you."
Did you guys see that?
That's why we must forgive.
In order, it said you forgive others first.
There's a lot of verses in the Bible.
Yeah. It
talking
doesn't
about forgiveness.
And it says it right there.
That's one of my favorites.
You got to forgive others first, and then you're instantly given forgiveness. But if you just go to Jenny, you know what? I know if I just tell Jenny that I forgave her, that I'll be happy and we can have a good day. But I really don't want to forgive her. God's not going to see that. No. You may be able to smoke your spouse. You might be able to pull it off. Probably not.
It has to be coming
But if you even smoke your spouse and she accepts your forgiveness, it doesn't matter because God didn't forgive you because you just lied.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. You lost.
It's your loss.
And it makes it even worse because you figure out along the way that you're jumpy, you're irritated, you're unhappy, and your wife's going, "I forgave you. What's going on?" You never forgave yourself. You start addressing
healing
your mindset.
Yes.
Change your mindset. And all these things that you and your wife been saying, "Man, I'd like to make $100,000 a year. Man, I'd like to make 7 figures a year. Man, I'd like to start a home business. Why can me and my wife not work together?" A lot of this, when you learn to forgive each other and let it go, now what's going to happen? There's a good song, "Let It Go." I'm not going to sing it because my voice is
Let it go.
See?
Let it go.
See, that's all she did right there. But I mean, as we work with entrepreneurs, and whether they're Christian entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, doesn't really matter. Forgiveness is a big part of that. And looking back into your soul and looking back into your mindset and saying, "Listen, what do I need to let go before I can go?"
Take care of yourself mentally.
You have to let these things go. And a good friend of mine said something the other day that made me think. He said, when you start to think about forgiveness and forgiving others, you get these fears and you get these uncomfortable feelings that are in your gut. And what those are things trying to leave. You're trying to forgive yourself. You're trying to forgive others. And those negative feelings you've been holding in your soul are trying to leave your body when you start feeling that way. So don't pull,
Yeah,
don't pull
I
them
have a
in.
tip. I
Let
have
them
a
go.
tip.
She's got a tip.
Yeah, when you see the person that hurt you, but you said you forgive him, every time you see him or her, just say, I forgive you, I forgive you. Every time, I forgive you, I forgive you. Until you get healed by that. You put it in your head and your heart, I forgive that person. There's no more bitterness. I know it takes time, but you have to do that.
It is. Well, and it's like, don't leave crumbs. Don't leave crumbs
Don't
behind.
take vengeance, because vengeance is
vengeance.
not freedom.
Vengeance. There we go.
Is not
That's an
freedom.
interesting one. She's on a roll today. She's talking about
You are.
vengeance. But it's,
Guys, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not really a talker, but
you're not?
no,
You are.
but I have desire to talk. That's why I'm doing this. So if you notice me, I'm not perfect. I don't talk. I'm still learning, but I'm here. I need to get out from my comfort zone and talk and share what I've learned.
You know what you just said? Forgiveness is getting out of your comfort zone.
I am forgiving.
She's getting out of her comfort zone.
There you go.
And that's what you're getting out of your comfort zone, by forgiving yourself and others. And guys,
I don't like talking, guys. I don't like talking.
But you're doing amazing.
But I have this desire to talk. But that's why I'm up here talking to you guys.
There you go.
I'm just being myself. I'm being myself. Okay. So no judging.
So we're gonna wrap
everyone.
Oh, she's going.
All of us are learning from each other. So if you have experience that you can share, just let us know, and we're gonna interview you here in our house.
Well, we definitely are, but
if you have a good story, or something that we can learn from,
something we can teach from. So I've said this 3 times, but I'm going to say it again. Now we're going to actually wrap it up. The biggest thing we want to end this. No, she's great. I love Jenny because it just starts to download for her, and she gets going.
I'm trying to express how I feel, because I have not done that in the past.
She's got her arms floating.
I shut down for when I was married to my first. That's another story.
Yeah, that's another story. So all of this today, the reason to forgive yourself and to forgive others is so you can be successful and get out of jail, as Jenny said.
Yes.
Because by getting out of jail, if we're going to start working with folks actively, entrepreneurs, Christian entrepreneurs, we're going to, there's a lot of Christian groups we're going to start to plug into. But the important thing that we want to help people with is learning the success of getting out of jail and how forgiving yourself and forgiving others and letting that go. Stop pulling those sins and those misdoings back in. Don't hold on. Don't ride the struggle bus on purpose. Get off of it and let all those things go. Because when you can forgive yourself and others, it's a business concept. It's a Christian concept.
It's a strong medicine.
It's a relationship concept. It's a people concept. Yes. I mean, it fixes every part of your life. And I can tell you, Jenny and I, when we started last year, really offering and walking into true forgiveness of ourselves, that's really who we're forgiving as ourselves. Because I would get frustrated that I hurt somebody or I said something to somebody, and I would apologize to them, but it was more myself. And a lot of times the people you think that are upset at you aren't. You'll find out when you go back to these people and you apologize to them, they'll go, Greg, what are you talking about? You just had a bad day. I wasn't upset. I wondered why you weren't. Is that why you weren't talking with me anymore?
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's a new download.
Ourselves.
That's just a new download now, because you'll find out that, and I did it in the couples I've worked with, that you'll find out those people are like, well, Greg, is that why you haven't called me for 2 years? Because we had a spat at a barbecue? Dude, I was totally fine with you. We just had a bad day and we moved on. And I wondered why you weren't answering my calls anymore. I was never upset or offended at all. Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have wasted 2 years because I thought you were mad at me. And and then you hug it out and you're done. So most of the people you think you've offended that are upset, they don't even care. They're like, dude, you just had a bad day. So it's
we need to end this now. It's over 30 minutes.
It is. So we're gonna end it with this. Forgive yourself, forgive others.
Yes.
Understand how simple it is and the importance of it. And forgiveness brings wealth, business, relationships, better marriage, better health. This message today is not just talking about God, forgiveness, and all that. That's a part of it, but the whole thing is that what forgiveness will do. Because remember, the things that you're trying to hold in your mind, there's a blockage that you have that's preventing you from holding it in your hand.
On self-forgiveness, you honor yourself as a person,
You do.
even if we are imperfect.
And with that, we've enjoyed talking with you today. If there's any topics you'd like us to talk about, feel free to share this. I'm going to ask you guys to share our talk to anybody on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it's called. Share that stuff out there, because we are actively now. Next week, I'm putting Jenny on the spot. She doesn't even know this. Next week, I'm going to launch our material that we're going to have available. She didn't even know. I've been working on it at night.
I don't like surprises.
That we're going to launch. So we're working with couples now, but next week we're going to start planning some 3-day events every month on Zoom, to where we're going to take you through some coaching, some reinventing, some transformation, and then talk with you about the programs we have available that you can invest into yourself to help change your life. So
it's an amazing program.
It is. So
it will change your mindset.
And you know what? We're
amazing.
So guys, today this is our third opportunity on God, finances, and intimacy.
Yeah.
We're really just excited at achieving your goals at breakneck speed. It's something we're doing, we've done, and we're continuing to do. And if we can speed your forgiveness up,
ask the person you hurt for forgiveness.
Go out today and get in the process and be accountable and get out of your comfort zone. Those are words from Jenny. I copied them. Those are wisdom words from my wonderful wife. Have an amazing day.
Take care of yourself. Cheers.
And I have to make sure that
God bless you guys.
I hit the right button here. So we're going to go ahead and stop recording. Guys, have a blessed day.
Let's continue to learn every day, guys, by reading.
Love you guys.